Question number 11, again for Al. You said after your spacewalk you wish you had stayed out longer. What was it like out there between the Earth and the Moon? And why did you come in so soon?
Well, let me answer the last one first. I guess I didn't come in soon. I came in when the job was done. And as a matter of fact, I made an extra trip back out to take a look at the mapping camera. Now, as far as what I felt like when I went out there, we talked a little bit about it after the EVA and decided it was sort of like walking on stage at your high school dinner dance or something. We opened the hatch and it was pitch black, and as soon as we got out, the sun was beating down on everything, and it looked like a very large floodlight on the stage. And then putting the TV camera out on the door just added a little bit more to that sort of unreal feeling that it was time to get out on the stage and do something. I think as far as the EVA went, we did it just almost exactly as we practiced it. It took almost exactly the same amount of time and did it the same way. And of course we had practiced that with the mapping camera in the extended position, and so that really posed no difficulty to us.
Question number 12 for Dave and Jim. You didn't have time to get to North Complex, craters which may have been formed volcanically, and where you thought some surprises might be found. Was this a significant loss?
Well, I'll start out and throw an answer there. I think if you look back at the original requirements for the landing in the Hadley Apennines, they were primarily to inspect the front and the rill. It was only after a considerable amount of study had been done and some rearrangement in the flight plan, the timing on the surface, that we found we had enough time to plan to go to the Northern Complex. So the Northern Complex was, in fact, an addition to the original requirement. It was a bonus. And I think because Jim and I have spent so much time with volcanics in our terrestrial geology work, that we were quite interested in getting to the Northern Complex to see if, in fact, it was a volcanic area. But I don't believe we lost anything from the lunar surface by not going there. Only we would have had a bonus had we been able to reach that point. And with that in mind, I hope that someday somebody gets a chance to go back and take a look at the Northern Complex. Jim, you want to answer?
No, I agree with everything you said. It was just a little personal disappointment that we couldn't get up there because we thought we'd have another beautiful view of the plains there and the limb. A view almost as beautiful as it was from the side of Hadley Delta.
Question number 13 for each of you. Would you please, in your own words, tell us what you gave the American taxpayers besides a few hours of good television?
Well, I think the magnitude of the scientific data we return will speak for the taxpayers' money. The small amount of time they had for television, I think, is rather insignificant relative to the amount of return we've gathered in the Sim Bay and in the lunar samples we have aboard right now. I think these data will not only enhance the progress of science, but it'll reach the common man in the street directly by the byproducts of what we learn. I think man must extend himself. The new frontiers must be open in order for us to propagate mankind, and I think this is one way in which we do it. I feel that the taxpayers got probably, as a matter of fact, I hope they got more than their money's worth out of the flight. And if you could see the size of the film magazines that Al brought in yesterday from those cameras, why, you'd see that we have indeed at least a great deal of data on film alone. Well, I really guess that there's not much more to add to what Dave said. He expressed my sentiments exactly, in that the knowledge that hopefully we've added to our store of information about the moon and about ourselves will be increased in an extent which is greater than the capital that was spent on the flight itself. And I would certainly think that that this whole series adds significantly to man's knowledge about himself primarily, and about himself in those areas where it will help future generations, maybe.
I can only add that we're bringing back just a lot of data and a lot of material, and it's going to take many years for people to really appreciate how much was gained from this flight.
Question number 14. It seemed this flight had as many problems as some of the old Gemini missions. Which of these gave you the most concern? And for Dave, did you ever feel you were back on Gemini 8?
Well, I guess we weren't aware we had that many problems. I thought this was a rather trouble-free flight myself. We went a long way. We spent a long time doing the job, and I think relative to the number of systems we have in all the spacecraft, that we had very few problems. I can think of none that were significant that would enable me to compare it with Gemini 8 at all. We had I guess the first little problem we had was a leak in our water system, which was cleared up rather rapidly by somebody having already done some investigation and having a procedure at hand. I believe our system is such that people have all the anticipated problems understood, and when they have them understood, they come up with solutions which are quite meaningful and successful. And I feel like the spacecraft and the life support systems on the moon and everything worked exceedingly well. I guess really I couldn't ask for much more.
Well, really we had very few problems. It seemed like a very tame simulation as far as I was concerned.
Certainly there were irritating things that happened, like some circuit breakers in the spacecraft here that give us some trouble, and some lights that aren't working exactly right. But certainly none of the important aspects of the flight or none of the essential pieces of equipment has malfunctioned, and I think it's been just great.
Gentlemen, we'd like to continue the press conference in a few minutes, but in the meantime, we'd be anxious to get one of you started on the lunar eclipse photos. We have 3 more questions. Question,
Okay,
question number 15. For Dave and Jim, how many times did each of you fall down on the lunar surface? Did any of these falls hurt you or give you any problems?
I fell down twice, and it was never any real problem. Actually, could have got up very well by myself without any help.
Yeah, I guess I fell down twice too, and as Jim said, it was never any really problem. It's a matter of if you start to go, and of course the terrain there, I guess you can see in the television, was quite rough and irregular, with occasionally rocks around, and we were pressing to try and get things done, and it was just a matter if you did start losing your balance to go ahead and go easy and accept somewhat of a light fall. Because of the 1/6 gravity, there was never any impact. When we hit, take it easy and get up slow, and I don't think either one of us ever came anywhere near the point of being hurt in that sense of the matter. Just a matter of slowing you up for a minute, enabling you to regain your balance and go ahead. And I have a question. You want to have the photos of lunar eclipse with a television now, or do you want us to get on with the camera photos? Because if that's the case, we have to turn the lights out.
Raj, we're going to skip down to the last question, Dave, which says your cabin must